Okay, in this video, we will talk about how to parse the metrics data using props and transform.conf. Okay, so if you remember from my previous video, we talked about how to ingest metric data using one of the protocol called statsd, right? So it has, if you remember, we ingested two different kinds of statsd data where the metric is in this format, where metric name, then the value and the metric type, or expanded statsd format like metric name, the value, metric type, and the sample rate as well as different dimensions. Right now, statsd supports lot of other format as well, and there are a lot of systems, real world systems, which send metric data in different format as well. Okay, so Splunk out of the box supports only statsd and the metric data with CSV format, as well as collectd. So collectd we still not discussed, but we will be discussing thoroughly in future videos. Okay, but what if we get a metric data which is not in the specified format? Okay, in that case, the way we have done for events, right, field extraction for events, we will do the similar kind of stuff for metric as well. Okay, we will be using props.conf and transform.conf to parse that particular data. Okay, so for an example, let's say we are getting a metric something like this. Okay, so just to recap what we have done in my previous video, we set up this statsd underscore client, right, which is a Node.js program which is basically sending this metric, this particular metric or whatever metric we have used in previous video, to this port 8125. Right, we have set up this port of statsd, right? So we have set up the statsd daemon over there, which is running on the port 8125, right? And this guy is as a client, it is sending that statsd metric to this particular port. And in Splunk, what we have done is we have created an input which is consuming from that port, right? And it is indexing the data. So now we are trying to send a metric which is not in statsd basic format, as well as this basic statsd format, as well as expanded statsd format. Nothing it is matching. If I just explain the metric over here. Okay, so if you see, this is the metric name here. Okay, and the rest of the two stuff, this is the IP address of the host. Okay, let's say IPv4 address, and this is the operating system of the host, and this is the metric value over here, and this is the metric type. Okay, as you know, Splunk supports only gauge metrics and count metric, right? So I just keep gauge and G and C only. Okay, but here the format of the metric is completely different over here, right? So let us see how we can parse this particular data. So if I just send this particular data as is, Splunk will not do any kind of parsing. Okay, so to see that one, let us first send this data as is. Okay, so for that, what we'll do is we will go to our command prompt, we'll run as admin. Okay, so now we have to go to D drive, as this particular program is in D drive only. Okay, so I'll just go over there. So from here we will be basically running this particular client as we did in my previous video. Okay, so we will be running something like node and the program name over here, right, statsd client.js here, right? Okay, so we send. Okay, I think we have to see in Splunk whether we have this input or not. If it is not there, we will create first. Okay, so settings, we will go to data inputs. I did not remember from my previous video whether I have deleted it or not. I think I have deleted it. Okay, let us add it. Let us try to do the same stuff whatever we have done in my previous video quickly. So we have this port UDP, right? So we selected from the metrics category, we selected statsd previously, right, as a source type. Now app context, any app context you can choose. If you are creating a new app, you should be choosing that particular app so that this particular settings will be saved over there. Okay, and index, if you remember, we created this metric underscore index over there, right? So we will just submit it. Okay, so now if I just go to our search and reporting app over there, if I just go to matrices over there, okay, so let us see if we have received any metrics or not. Yes, in the last 1 hour, maybe let's say last 15 minutes, we will just try to find it out. Refresh. Last 15 minutes matrix. Okay, I think this is the one we just received now, right? So if you see it over here, it is not able to parse this data completely, right? It does not know, because it is not a stats format, right? So that's why it is saying it is not able to know where is the metric value and all those type of stuff, right? So that means Splunk is not able to parse this particular data and extract the metric name, metric value, as well as dimensions over there, right? So now we will try to see if we can overcome this challenge by using a props.conf and transform.conf. Okay, so before we do that one, now if you remember, for events, we when we created the props.conf and transform.conf, we were dealing with a regular expression, right? So we will try to first determine, or we'll first try to develop the regular expression first, then we will come to the props.conf. Okay, so for that we will go to the similar site which I used to use for regular expression, called regex101.com. okay, so we will first go to this stats client. Now we will copy this guy over here. Okay, this whole string over here, we will paste it here. Now we will try to develop a regular expression which will basically extract this IP address as well as the operating system over here. Okay, now one thing we have to remember is when we manually parse this data, right, because we are creating our own regular expression over here, one thing we have to remember, apart from its dimensions, you have to extract the matrix name as well as value over here as well. Okay, so that thing we have to keep in mind. So we have to extract, except its dimensions, we have to extract the metric name as well as value. So to do that one, so if I just, let's say dot, that means it will match with any character and any number of time. If I just give dot plus, okay, now if I just make it as a group over here, okay, that means we are basically matching everything. If you see over here, this group is matching everything. Now this portion is my metric name, right, and this portion is my IP address over here, right? So now if I just say again match with a dot, I just given a backslash because we have to escape the character. Dot is a special character because it's matching with any character, right? So if you see, now it is matching with till this string, right? So now if I give digits, right, something like this, backslash d plus, okay, let's say we will just try to match with the IP address itself. So each and every place it can have maximum 3 characters, right? So 1, 3 digits, okay, something like this we will give. Okay, then dot, again it will be backslash d means digit 1, 3, okay, dot backslash d 1, 3 over here, right, dot backslash d again 1, 3 over here, right? So if you see it now, the first group is now matching the my name of the matrix over here, right? Because I have said match any character, after that find a dot, then find this pattern over here, IP address related pattern, right? So if I just give this guy as a group. Okay, so if I just enclose this particular regular expression within the first bracket, it will become a group. If you see now, group 2 is extracting my IP address over here, right? So let us continue over there. So then we have another, we have to match with another dot, that's why slash dot. Then we have a word, right, operating system name over here, right? So backslash w is basically for words, and I'll also create a group over here. So let us first do that one. Backslash w means a particular word character, and it can be more than one character, that's why it is matching with Windows, right? So then we will just enclose it within a brackets to create a group, right? So now group 3 is basically extracting my operating system over here, right? Now we extracted the metric name, we extracted the IP address, we extracted the operating system. Now the one thing also you have to extract is the metric value over here, which is the 39 over here, right? So I'll just try to create a simple regular expression for this. Let's say we only have some digits over here, right? It could be like with fractions as well, so let us not go to that complexity. Okay, we'll just try to see what we can do with this props.conf and transform.conf. Okay, but it can be with fraction as well, so in that case here your regular expression will be something different over there. Okay, so D. Okay, so now my group 4 is also extracting my metric value over here. Okay, so after that we have a pipe character over there, right? So this is the whole regular expression we have built. Now if you remember from my regular expression video for Splunk, right, when I talked about regex, those commands, right? Also I created a video for regular expression in detail, right? Over there we talked about a named group over there, right? So when we create a group by this first bracket, we are not giving a name over there, right? I can give a name, like suppose let's say group 1 is my metric name over there, right? So if I just to give a name, we can write something like this, question mark, then within angle brackets the group name, let's say metric underscore name. If you see the group name, group 1 changed to metric name over here, right? And for Splunk, generally when we discussed about the regular expression for events, right, in props.conf and transform.conf, Splunk supports the named group as well, right? But for in case of metric, it does not support the name group. I tried with this one, but it did not work. Okay, so I don't know when in future Splunk will support it or not. So that's why we will not create a named group, but we'll create a group, but we will be using another option called format over there. Okay, so which I discussed in my props.conf and transform.conf video as well. I'll give that video link over here as well. Okay, so we created a regular expression which is extracting all the values we wanted. Now let us try to create the props.conf and transform.conf entries over there. Okay, so for that what we'll do is we will go to our Splunk home, etc, apps, everything we are doing in our search app only. We'll go to search app local folder. If there is no props.conf file, you can create it by your own. Okay, for my case I already have it one, so I'll just open it. So now in the props.conf, as you remember from my Splunk development video, the stanza name will be the source type name, right? Let's say custom, we'll give something called custom metric source type. Okay, let's say I'll give something like my underscore custom metric source type over here. Okay, so this is our source type name. Now we have to create a config which will basically point to the stanza name of the transform.conf, right? So this is how we used to do it. transforms. This stuffs I already discussed in my props.conf and transform.conf video, so that's why I'm not explaining it again. Okay, we have to give a class name over there, so you can give any class name over there. Okay, I'll just keep the class word simply. Now let's say transform stanza stanza 1. Let's say I'll give the stanza name called stanza 1. Okay, and the category will give it as metrics. Yes, metrics. Okay, so this is the whole props.conf input. So let us save it over there. Okay, now in the transform.conf, so whatever the stanza name we have given it over here, we have to create that same stanza name in our transform.conf, right? So we will create that stanza 1 over here, right? Now over there, as you remembered, we have to give a regular expression over there using this regex keyword. So I will give the regular expression. Just now we have developed it here. Okay, so you have to remember this one. This regular expression has to extract a group. Okay, each and every group will be like extracting some information over there. Now in case of events, we could have named these groups so that Splunk will create fields accordingly, but in case of matrices, a named group does not work. For that, what we have to do is we have to use the config called format. Okay, so if I just give format here, now how the format works, it just another way of using the named group over here. Okay, so if I just write it down something like this, I want to create a field name, or it's a field name called metric underscore name. Okay, this is the same spelling over here. Okay, so we are basically extracting the metric name from the given string, right? And as you remember, this first group is basically extracting the metric name over here, right? So if I just go back over here, this first group is this green one over here, right? So group 1 is actually extracting the metric name over here, right? So that means metric name will be when I use format, right? So the first, if I just write something like this also I have discussed in my previous video when I talked about the props.conf and transform.conf as well. Okay, so $1 means first occurrence of the group or first extracting group over there. Okay, so that means the first extracting group is actually my metric name. Now let us continue. Let us say we extracted the IP address, right? So let's say IPv4, we want to extract another dimensions in the matrix. It is the dimension over there, right? Then double colon, the second occurrence, right? The second group, which is basically extracting my IPv4 address. Similarly, operating system name, I can give the name as OS. Then the third occurrence over there, right? Which is basically this group over here, right? So if I just show it to you once, this is my operating system name, my third group over here, right? And similarly, my fourth group is actually the metric value over here, right? So this has to be value, right? Colon the fourth group. Now among all these field names, this metric name and the underscore value has to be as is. Okay, rest of the stuff you can give any name according to your need. Okay, but this one and this one has to match full case wise. Okay, so this is important. Now let us save it. So we have given a regular expression, we have given a format. Now another config we have to give it over here is called write meta. Okay, because it will be indexed, so true. So this is also, I discussed this particular settings I discussed when I talked about index time field extraction, okay, for events. So we created our props.conf, we created our transform.conf over here, right? So now if I just create an input with this particular source type, ideally it should extract the field or extract the dimensions and the metric name as well, right? So let us try to see how it goes. Okay, so for that, what I'll do first is, as we have made changes from the backend, right, we will restart Splunk once. Okay, then we'll try to create that input. We'll go to settings, server control, restart Splunk. Okay, so we'll come back after Splunk restart completed. Okay, our Splunk has been restarted. Let's log into our Splunk Enterprise. Okay, so first thing we have to do is we have to go to settings, data inputs, because we have to previously the UDP input we have created, it was the source type was my stats D, right? Now we have created our own source type. We have to create an input with that particular source type, right? So for that, what I'll do is I'll just delete it, because we will be sending that format data only now. Okay, so let us add a new UDP input now. So port, again, it will be 8125 only, right? Source name, and okay, this thing I'll keep just as is. Now the source type, if I just go to matrices over here, okay, so okay, we'll search with my custom metric source type over here. Okay, so this is the new source type we are selecting when we are creating a new input now. Okay, app context will keep the search and reporting. Index, we will be creating the selecting the metric underscore index over here. Okay, review, submit. Okay, so now whatever metric we will be sending to Splunk, it should be able to parse that metric properly. Okay, it should be able to extract the metric name, two dimensions, which is IPv4 by IP. If I just go over here, IPv4 and operating system, and it should extract the value as well. Okay, so let us try to see that one. So for that, what we'll do is in our statistic client, right, to make it distinguishable, we'll send something called CPU3 %used, and some value we will be sending, let's say 45. Okay, and IP address, let's change it out, let's say 11.20.30.40. okay, so if I just send this particular metric now, okay, to our Splunk, and let us try to see whether it is able to extract it or not. Okay, generally I have seen like it takes certain amount of time before it extracts, but it extracts properly. So let us try to see that one, whether we have received that CPU 3 or not. We have received, if you see it over here, and the metric name it has given is called CPU3 %used, as we expected over there, right? Compared to this guy where it did not extracted the metric name and other dimensions properly, here it has extracted the metric name properly. And if I just click on the split by over here, if you see the IPv4 and OS also showing up over here, that means the dimensions value also it is able to extract properly. And if I just see the value over here, okay, so it should be showing up somewhere over here. Okay, so it is 45, right? So if you see it is showing up over here as a 45. Okay, it is okay. If you see it, it is 45, right? That means we are able to extract the metric dimensions, name, value properly using a props.conf and transform.conf. Okay, now this particular approach can be used with out of the box supported metrics as well, but it does not need it because Splunk already built those regular expressions, right? We do not need to work on those stuff again. But any type of metric data which is coming to your system, if you know its format, okay, and if that particular format is not supported by Splunk by default, we can have this particular approach to extract the metric data and dimensions from that there. Okay, now by saying that, I have seen some other stuff as well, like related to the stats D metrics. If you go to the Splunk documentation, and there is a link called extract dimensions for unsupported stats D format. Now there are very stats D related configurations over here, but I don't know, when I tried it, this does not work. So that's why I thought like the safest approach would be our basic approach, where we will here also they have used the props.conf and transform.conf only, but the configuration names are different and they are very much applied to the stats D format only. Okay, so but the props.conf and transform.conf settings we have discussed today, that will be applicable for any kind of matrices. Okay, so hopefully this video is helpful. See you in next video.